All right. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to my real estate company's company-wide meeting for Thursday, November 13th, 2025. Today,
Uh,
we've got the penny on there. Good call, Sandy.
the United States finally killing off the penny after 238 years, which is like crazy. I can't even believe it's that old. It costs over 3 cents to make one.
Wow.
So, I was like thinking about what joke I could make about the take a penny, leave a penny tray. No good jokes came, but I'm like, that's gonna go away. Think about that, right? Um,
Yeah, but
Digital payments are really the wave of the future. Inflation totally buried pennies. I think we all, even though it's kind of nostalgic for us, we're like, oh, a little sad to see it go. How long have we all been like penny has got to go? Um, so it had a good run, and I'm sure we're still going to see the lucky penny on sidewalks and stuff like that, but it just had its last mint, its final mint yesterday. Bye bye, penny.
So
wow.
that means no more throwing pennies into those fountains and stuff.
Inflation
I
5%.
mean, get them where you can find them.
Yeah. Quick Star stopped taking mine a couple days ago. It was weird. They started rounding down.
Wow.
Interesting. Oh, rounding down.
Yeah, so my total was like 1134, and they were like, just give us 1130, it's fine. And they're
I
like, when
remember you texting me saying they wouldn't take your pennies, and for some reason in my head, I pictured you taking a bag full of pennies there and being like, here, I'm paying for my coffee. And then being like, yeah, we're adults here, Holly. Come back when you have real money.
And so my follow-up question was, should I just take him to the bank? And she was like, yeah.
And before we move on, I just have to say this story. So my brother and I used to raid my dad's change jar, and we would order Happy Joe's pizza when we were like homesick or when dad was gone or whatever. And we would pay the delivery guy in change.
Oh my
And he
gosh.
would accept it every single time. But looking back, I'm like, wow, we were at
when when I was first in the Navy, well, not first, I guess, but when I was stationed in Pensacola, it cost $1 to cross the bridge to go to Pensacola Beach and be on the little island portion. And, being a broke, E2 or whatever I was, like there were many a times I would count out 100 pennies to pay the toll to go to the beach.
oh my God. Oh
Yeah.
my,
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. So we got the quote today from real estate broker Josh, our South Dakota broker. He is awesome about posting quotes on his threads, and I poll basically the best ones, what I think are the best or the most applicable to our meetings. And here were two that I really liked that he posted in a row. So the longer I avoided having real estate conversations with my database, the longer I stayed stuck wondering where my next deal would come from. And I found that to be really impactful. And then also, every time I stopped tracking my numbers, my business drifted into guesswork and gut feelings. So we'll touch on that in a little bit. Next slide.
So, we are building a national brokerage where relationships come first. We truly want to change the way that real estate feels. And, so by doing that, we're continuing to try to solve problems for our agents. How can we make this more efficient? Which led us down this whole path of, mobile tools. And so that is what we're building.
Next slide. Nate's gonna appreciate this when he watches last night's My Rico Revealed, because we really gave him some props last night. We like to talk
Oh,
about
thanks.
what core value has impacted us the most this week, and Holly said she took mine because she spoke first, and she said handle it. I'll let you talk about that one, Holly.
Yeah, I just felt like handle it, Nate's really been stepping up. I mean, he always has, but especially the last week, really stepping up and just taking care of business. Really thinking outside the box, seeing how he can make things more efficient for us, more organized, researching tools to make things more efficient. And it's just he's been the definition of that core value lately.
So then, since I couldn't pick handle it, I picked built for relationships. And I also, talked about Nate, and he truly finds the qualities in people and really draws them out and really builds on relationships. And he's self-dubbed the Ted Lasso of the office, but yesterday when we were having an honest conversation, I kind of went and said, I'd almost go as far as to say you're the Mr. Rogers of the office. So, and I mean
I mean,
that.
Ted Lasso
We're
and Mr.
really
Rogers are
fortunate to have you.
some big shoes to fill, and thank you so much. I love being here. I really do.
Next slide, Nate.
He did make me cry yesterday, though. True.
Yeah, I saw Holly tearing up and I was like, I'm not going to ruin my makeup. So next week is Truth Telling Tuesdays. We have changed the name because we like our tea hot and we think that's more impactful to share actual stories. So there's this dude who dubbed his own self as the cash flow king, ran a fucking Ponzi scheme, a $7.3 million Ponzi scheme. And he had to go to and this is a licensed real estate agent. He had to go to prison for 70 months and face over $5 million in restitution. And the other thing that I found interesting was $7.3 million Ponzi scheme and only 5 mil in restitution. Like I don't know what kind of lesson that's teaching us, but we're going to find out next Tuesday. Next
The
slide.
math isn't mathin'.
I know. Sounds like he came out on top. Next week's Work It Wednesday. Josh, do you want to open your mic and talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, we're just gonna do like safety, realtor safety type thing. For those of you that don't know, my background before real estate was in law enforcement. I worked 10 years in Portland, Oregon, was part of the riot team. And I'm going to take a lot of principles that I learned from my law enforcement and also a very good book that I'll talk about more then that I think every real estate agent should use to talk about safety and being safe when you're in your daily duties in real estate.
I'm so excited to see the participation and attendance on that, Josh, because we have had agents come to us in the past after very scary incidents that they've faced, begging for agent safety training. So we're very excited to have this. And also, you guys, I added at the bottom, you see that there's 2 ways to watch. There always has been, at least at a minimum, 2 ways to watch, but I specified on Twitch, if you're not with us at our brokerage, you can watch anonymously. And if you want to come into our Zoom room, you can participate live. But we do monitor the chat on Twitch if you ever want to ask questions or participate there as well. Next slide. We also have Rick Carr, who I have had the pleasure of speaking with. He is extremely well respected and highly regarded in the state of Texas. He is going to be giving us, generously giving us his time for a business planning session this coming Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central. And that's what I was talking about with Josh's quote earlier about your database only being as good as you tracking your numbers. Lindsay, do you want to talk about this?
I'd love to, because Rick and I actually worked together. We were brokers at eXp Realty. We managed over 10,000 agents at one time with 10 brokers. So if you can understand the gravity of that, but his background is unbelievable. I know he looks adorable, but he's been in the real estate business for over 40 years. He has taught the basics over and over again, tried and true. And what I love about this class is that you walk away in hand with your 2026 goals and business plan. And that's something I think execution, we talked about action the other day. Action is key. With our vision boards, it's like, hey, you can make this pretty board, you can make this pretty plan, but if you don't go revisit it and look at it every day and work the plan, it's not going to happen. So I love the fact, because I've been to a lot of different business setting goal classes, and I leave more lost than I showed up with. So my favorite thing about him is he keeps it simple. It's execution. And man, you want to talk about if you can increase your revenue stream 5-10% than last year. I mean, it's worth every penny. And like I said, he has graciously donated his time. And I just I can't think of someone better to teach this type of class, someone that's been in the business for over 40 years.
I'm totally fired up and excited and have been wanting a business planning clinic for a long time. So thank you for arranging that, Lindsay. Next slide. All right, 35% off. If you want the code for some discounted CE, just text CE shop to the number you see on the screen. Next slide.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about this. This week we had the Marine Corps birthday bash, we had Annie's birthday, and we had Veterans Day. So it was a big beginning week. But also, Josh got to interview Sandy. So I'm gonna drop in the YouTube link as well. But then he wrote this incredible article. You can move through the slides. I screenshotted it. For those of you that don't have like a membership at Inman, you can take the screenshots and then read it. But it's an incredible article that really captures the essence of the leader that we have here at my real estate company, right? So Sandy is just an amazing, amazing CEO. She brings lots of organization and leadership. And this just really dives deep into some of the things that go on behind the scenes that agents might not even be aware of. But, most impressively was the time, and I love that they shared this story, was the time that, some of our agents were due referral fees from another brokerage, and months had gone by in some cases. And finally, COO Holly was trying to get some money and trying to get answers and kept getting pushback. So finally, CEO Sandy came and dropped the hammer, and their response was like, you're a bully, we don't respond to threats, but then we got the money. So it just really showed how important it is for our leadership to show up and have our agents' backs. But yeah, Josh, if you want to add anything.
The only thing I have is if you guys don't have an Inman subscription and you want to read any of the articles that I write, just let me know, because I do post them on my personal blog, and I can send you a link to read them that way. So that way you can save yourself the $7.99. And
We could also post them on our company blog as well, Josh.
yeah,
Hey, Josh, I just wanted to thank you personally. This was an incredible article. It was extremely well written. I fell in love with myself after reading it. Thank you for making me look so good. But it was really an honor to have this article written, and I just wanted to say thank you.
well, you're welcome, and it was fun. I highly recommend to watch the YouTube video. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't put in the article, obviously, because it almost an hour long almost by the time we were said and done. So the YouTube video is a really good, lots of really good topics that didn't even make the article. So
Next.
All right, so we just want to make sure all agents saw that on or after November 16th, Fannie Mae is eliminating the minimum 620 credit score. So I think some people have mixed feelings about this. My position, and after talking to some friends of mine, are that at surface level, it sounds terrible. Like, oh my gosh, there's just going to be another self-stated income thing. And it's like, no, it's not, again, carte blanche. But there is a whole sector of people out there who can't buy homes traditionally because maybe they don't trust banks. Maybe they are more of the Dave Ramsey mindset where they pay cash for everything. And so it makes it really difficult to get homes, even though they have a really great credit profile. They make plenty of money. They have literal cash at home in the bank, or not in the bank, right? Literal cash at home. So I, for one, think this is a really great out of the box thing that the government is working on to try to make home ownership more achievable for a broader spectrum of people. But if anyone else wants to chime in.
I'd like to chime in and ask, does that change the cash under the mattress rules at all?
Oh, well, good point. I think it just depends on your location, because my closing company has always said you can literally bring a briefcase of cash, but there's certain parameters. You have to still prove kind of where the cash came from and show that it wasn't, criminal activity. So yeah, I think that, we just have to ask more questions and find out how we can serve these agents at a higher level and what their options truly are.
My feet do very well on OnlyFans, just so you know.
It's traceable, so it's all good.
Next. Nate, you're
All
up.
right. So this might be a little bit of like a truth-telling way of presenting this, but my wife works in title, and I want to talk about wire fraud. And the story she told me, I really thought it would help our agents and especially our clients too, because this stuff really does happen. So here in Arizona, a husband and a wife, they're first-time home buyers. Where buying they're buying their dream home, right? They've been corresponding by email, what they thought was their escrow officer. Everything looked legitimate, same name, same signature block, same email chain. And when it came time to, send their closing funds, they received an email with official wire instructions. The message even said, "I'll be in meetings all afternoon, so you won't be able to reach me." That should have been the first red flag, but it didn't stand out at the time. The wife followed the instructions and wired the full amount, $32,000. Days later, when the real escrow officer called to confirm the signing appointment, the buyer casually mentioned, "Oh, we sent that last week." Instantly, alarms went off. The real escrow officer had been out of town and had never sent those instructions. When they checked the email thread, they found a couple of things. One, the reply to address was slightly off. The phone number in the signature was fake, just one digit different. The account name on the wire wasn't the title company, it had a person's name on it. By the time anyone realized what happened, the money was gone. The bank tried to freeze it, but the funds had already been moved through multiple accounts. So here, I came up with some like 6 really big red flags that I want to go over. Really look at the reply to. They like to use pretty much like the same email and just change slightly, different things. Like they'll add stuff at the end. Um, the signature phone number was wrong. So like once again, it was one digit off. They know and they're watching like these escrow companies and somehow they're getting this information. So be careful. The "I'll be unavailable" message was a huge red flag. Escrow officers are always available for their clients, so they would never say something like that. Also, look at like the grammar or tone. A lot of these come from different countries. So, please wire or please to wire now fastly. Like stuff like that will seem a little off. So, definitely look out for those. Account name isn't the title company, so never wire to a personal name, an LLC, or anything different from the escrow company's name. And then the phone number confirmation, always call your escrow. Don't use that phone number that's in the email. Always call that escrow number that you have and talk to somebody immediately. Anything that seems off, like call right away and talk to them.
Thank you so much, Nate. And also, please thank your wife for taking the time to share these stories and lessons learned. I think it's important that we as real estate agents are educating our clients. It's not enough to just send a wire fraud advisory piece of paper and have them sign it. It's up to us to truly educate our clients, especially if they're a cash buyer, especially if they're a buyer where they're going to be sending a down payment. We need to get that message across that scammers, there's an uptick. AI is making it easier than ever for them to scam us and them, and just educate them on it. Alicia.
So this brought up something that I had filed away at convention with intentions to share. One of the other things that's occurring is that folks are creating fake documents, really, really, really good ones, and portraying homeowners. And it's actually a little more prevalent in Iowa than what you might think. And so when you are getting a new listing, you want to meet with them in person at the listing, to ensure that they're not being impersonated.
Yeah, we've actually done, scam alerts on that as well. Thanks for bringing that up, Alicia. And mainly what is mainly caught for that are vacant lots that are sold at well under market value. That's a huge red flag too. Holly, do you have anything to add?
I was just you took the words right out of my mouth. We're good.
Thanks, Nate. Next.
You're welcome.
All right. So the other hot topic we want to talk about today is 50-year mortgages.
I just want to interrupt a second and brag on my brokers and my company and be like, are you surrounding yourself with people who level you up? Because we have 2 people at our brokerage who have published articles and Inman on the hottest topic of this week, which is 50-year mortgages. So I just wanted to make that very clear. I'm so excited to hear Holly and Josh talk, but this is Josh Reese's article that was published on November 12th. Holly Brink's article published today, November 13th, about the hottest topic in real estate this week. All right, now kick it off.
Yeah, well, I think Josh and I were inspired by our conversation on Monday, and we both had 2 different takeaways. Not that we disagree, but his is focused, and he can speak to this, but his is focused a lot on how agents can pivot, what this looks like for agents and how to treat their leads and their sphere differently. And mine is really to hey, everyone you read about online is jumping to oh my gosh, this is terrible. They're never going to get their house paid off. This is, it's like buying a new car as soon as you drive off the lot, it's not worth anything. And I'm like, look, let's take a step back. First of all, and I run through the numbers and the statistics on how many people actually get a 30-year mortgage and hold on to that mortgage for 30 years. Not to mention the amount of people that are basically interest rate trapped in their current homes because they're paying 3%. So if they want to go even a lateral move right now, it becomes unaffordable. So with the idea of a 50-year mortgage, spreading it out, it makes payments more affordable. And then they can refinance when interest rates drop. It's no different than when interest rates went from 6 to 11. And people were like, oh, buy the house, date the rate. To me, it's the same principle. So mine's an opinion perspective on how everyone needs to just take a chill pill. And then Josh can dig a little bit more into his article.
So I think the first thing that I want to point out here is if you're in real estate and you're making any type of social media content, when you see these topics that hit and start gaining a lot of traction across platforms, make some content around them. Because mine had really nothing to do with my opinion on the 50-year mortgage or anything, but it was more looking at how this could affect agent profitability long term. And so I think ultimately when you see these topics, make posts, and they don't have to be videos, they can be text. The social media algorithms are very good at picking up things that are trending and getting you a lot of exposure. I think that's the first point I want to make is leverage these hot topics to your advantage. Obviously, make sure to stay in your lane and don't speak out of line and all that type of stuff, but find a way to take these trending topics, put them in your own voice, give an opinion on them or whatever, and send them out there because they're going to get a lot more reach. Basically, my article was all about if the adoption of this 50-year mortgage is picked up by consumers, it could drastically change profitability from an agent standpoint because people will be gaining equity a lot slower, which potentially could cause them to hold on and stay in the houses they're in longer, which from a real estate profitability standpoint will push our client life cycles out more. So my piece was really based on, it could happen and it might not. But just being prepared, and when we see these things hit, thinking long term about how is this going to affect my business's profitability long term, or how could it? Because there's no guarantee that a 50-year mortgage is even going to happen. But I think it's just one of those things that if we're always looking for those and how they're going to change our business and change our business math, it can really help you and set you ahead of your competition in your local market.
And before I let Alicia talk, and Sandy might dive deeper into this, but I just want to take this opportunity too to let you know, like, you don't have to agree with us, right? Like, we welcome different opinions. And if you're trying to look and make a difference in social media, I've found that it's best to take a stance, right? Like, no matter what it is. But we are a brokerage where you can have a different opinion. We don't just want yes men or yes people. So I just wanted to encourage you to do that.
Alicia.
Yeah, so I'm kind of as a buyer's agent predominantly, I love this in conjunction with the changing of the 620 Fannie Mae stuff, right? Because you now have the opportunity as an agent to reach this whole demographic of folks that have been locked out, shut out of homeownership, probably like me, since like 2008 when the economic crash hit all of us. Like, some of us have not recovered from that credit score wise and have been locked out despite having the income to support purchasing a home. um and so I think that if we can get this 50-year mortgage in conjunction with like maybe a 580, or like the VA's minimum requirement is a 580, and get the banks to really kind of jump on board with this, I think it opens up a whole broad spectrum of new potential buyers.
That's a good point, Alicia. Like, that can open up or help people with certain niches, right? There are people that really wanted to help the underdog. And they're like, well, how do I help the underdog if they can't ever fucking buy anything? So that's a really great point. Thanks for pointing that out. And yeah, we had that as the last slide on purpose to purposefully open up discussion if anybody has anything to add on this 50-year topic. We had an amazing discussion about this on Monday. But any questions or comments on this? It's a huge topic for your career.
I want to point out that this is going to be a topic we're going to talk about over and over and over again. I'm kind of excited for it because we beat a dead horse about the buyer agreement 2 years ago, and now we're going to be talking about this. What I do have a question, I guess. What do you think the chances are that it's going to happen, the 50-year? Because I haven't read the articles.
It's happening.
It is 100% going to happen. I'm verified. Even though you guys are all positive about it. So I'm excited to hear more about it too.
Well, if lenders are given the opportunity to make money, they're going to make money. So it's all about who's going to buy those loans, who's willing to invest in those loans. However, I would not be surprised, and I might be speaking out of turn. I haven't done enough research on this, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's government subsidies going towards 50-year mortgages in order to like encourage investors to take on that risk. So
Yeah.
I'd have to do more research, but that's what I'm betting will happen in order to make these happen.
Yeah. And I've heard that interest rates will probably be a little higher too, right? So that will give the
And that's in
investor.
line with the 15, 30, like they're always lower on the 15-year than the 30-year. So that's a good point, Holly.
Yeah, because it's the risk, right? These banks or investors, whoever's providing the loan is taking the risk. So that's why interest rates are higher the longer the loan term. So yeah, I think, it's just one of those things where as things are unfolding, we'll continue to talk about it, research it, and my opinion might change too. So I reserve the right to change my opinion, but for now it is what it is. So
But that's what I love about this is we'll keep educating ourselves, and there's nothing wrong with changing your opinion on a subject. That means that you're open-minded and that you're educating yourself. So yeah, Josh.
I think it's also interesting too, kind of what we've seen with the credit score, the 50-year mortgage, and then also the news that broke a few days ago about the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau basically being disbanded. And I think what we're seeing is we're seeing um, a lot less with the blanket guidelines when it comes to home loans. And it kind of sounds like to me, and I'm kind of, guessing on this, but it kind of sounds like they're going to put a lot more power in the underwriters' hands to really look at people as individuals of should these people as an individual be able to purchase this home versus do they fit in the box and the guidelines. And I think that's one thing that could really open up the market for real estate. If we start giving people, a much closer look independently, other than do you fit in the box, I think that could really change um, what we've seen over the last, since the early 2000s. So I think it's an interesting time. And I think the other thing is it just proves the demand is there. I think we're in an industry where there's so much demand right now. And although it has been kind of, trampled on by interest rates and everything and inventory, the demand is there. And I think it really should, as real estate agents, we should really look at positive for the future, because there's people that need our help.
Can you elaborate on the consumer finance protection, whatever like I actually did not know about that part of the news.
So basically, and I don't know a ton about them, but basically they're just a bureaucracy, governmental agency that is involved in not just mortgages, but a lot of consumer finance type protections. The problem is when they implemented those things, a lot of them were putting people in boxes when it came to getting loans. And so, and what they found is that a lot of these people that were getting denied loans were actually probably very, very legitimate borrowers that would have been fine. But because they didn't fit in the perfect box that the guidelines had been set up for, it didn't really help them. And
I
so,
wonder if the usury law will be also disbanded though, as a result.
I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see, like, because bad always comes with good, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think they did do some really good for the lending industry as a whole, even outside of mortgages. Um, but it will be interesting to see with them not there, what happens. And really, we don't know. They said they're disbanding this and giving the duties. So it could just be one of the things where they get rid of one agency and just give the duties to another agency, and it doesn't really matter. So
Well, think about us as self-employed individuals too, So like there's what if we only have a year and a half worth of proof and not 2 years, but it's like, hey, clearly they're killing it or whatever. Yeah, it'll be very interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that there's been a major overreach in politics over the past couple of years. And so I think I've said it before, and I think Sandy has a more elegant way of saying it, but I always say like the path to hell is paved with good intentions. And I feel like some of these things were created with genuine good intentions, but what it ultimately did was so many people don't fit in that box that it really hurt minorities and people that have trouble with getting houses and don't trust banks and things. And so by eliminating that in a variety of ways now, and being able to add all these things to our toolbox to serve our clients, hopefully we'll see more homeownership. We'll see the number of minorities that own homes rise and more diversity in homeownership, because it's alarming. It's alarming how these things came into place to try to protect people, and the divide between white homeownership and minority homeownership is still so vast.
All right, if nobody has anything else, go ahead
I
and close this out, Holly.
I got one quick second,
Sure.
if you don't mind. I wanted to follow or circle back around to what Alicia was saying about like the VA loans and having the statutory minimum score and whatnot. But actually, with VA, there is no statutory minimum score. It's just it's lender specific, the overlays that they have on it.
Yeah, you have to, you're not guaranteed a VA loan. You have to qualify with the lender. And then once you qualify, the VA guarantees the loan. And I think that that's something that is done right. I absolutely love that aspect of it. Thanks
I
for
do too.
bringing that up.
I've had veterans under a 400, or I mean under a 500 credit score that have closed, um quite a few over the years, and it's just mostly you have to go through an independent broker at that point so that they can shop out to who they have that will take the person.
And I'd like to say publicly, Marine Federal Credit Union is known for, go through them if you
Mhm.
have been turned down everywhere else type thing. They've got very creative methods for that.
Same for like I-10 clients and whatnot.
All right, Holly.
All right. Well, hey, when in doubt, reach out, message us if you need us. We are here for you. We all started this morning with a blank slate at 0. So go out and talk to a buyer, a seller, or an agent today. Have a good one. Bye.